Tommy.
You as well, man. You as well. I'm glad that we're meeting up. Uh,
Yeah.
Let me see. I'm gonna get this recording so that we can have this refer back to.
Okay.
Um, so today is gonna be kind of a discovery call, right? I want to learn about you, what you have going on, what your struggles are, what your goals are, where you want to be. And then with that, we can come up with a game plan of how to get you to there. Does that make sense?
That's fantastic. Yes, it makes sense.
Awesome. So I sent you the kind of the preliminary kind of
Yep.
questionnaire of where I want to go with this call.
Yep.
Let's just let's just start at the top and
Bless you.
tell me a little bit about you, about your dog training journey, your business.
All right. Well, I can tell you about me and probably cover quite a few of the questions that you already asked.
Okay.
I think there was a list of 20 on there. I've been at this training dogs for roughly about 10 years, give
Okay.
or take, right? At least professionally taking money and so on.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, for some time, I've been doing it sort of, I wouldn't say a hobby, but it wasn't my primary focus. I had another business with a wife, and we had a series of day spas. We had 4 locations throughout the area, and I was running that.
Okay.
And I also, at some point, towards the tail end, or rather not the tail end, at some point, like 10 years ago, I started working with dogs, and I was doing that as a side hustle, as a side business. I wasn't making an enormous amount of money. I was bringing in 40, 50,000 here and there. Okay. But that was it. We got divorced, and we got divorced roughly 3 years ago or so, like that, which is in some way it's a saving grace. I saw the writing in the wall, and my intention and my ambition was always to grow the dog training part of the business,
Yeah.
but I held back, and luckily so, because I think I almost certainly would have lost at least half of the business if I had really kind of developed it and grown it as I did with the spa. So here I am. About 3 years ago, I started to kind of get myself back on track because, as you know, divorces were a bit of a hit. So I got myself back on track, and I started to refocus on the business. So right now, as of last year, I brought in about 150,000. I'm on track this year to make about 200,000. And I've got kind of clear goals and visions with regards to where I want to go. Right,
Awesome.
as now, the ins and outs of it. I mean, I don't know if it matters, but like most dog trainers, I'm self-educated, and I'm always looking to improve. I am currently in a 1,500 square foot facility with one trainer. This is the
Okay.
third trainer that I have had. Okay,
Okay.
I had two others that I had to let go. Um, my goals, I'm going to try and go through these in order, if you don't mind. If you don't mind
Yeah.
me kind of going through this. So that's currently where I'm at now. What made me reach out to you? Actually, you've been on my radar for some time, Tommy. Like, listen, with me, the way that I do it is like, when I go into an industry, I try to I scout out the ones that I feel are where I would like to be,
For sure.
and I stalk them. To be honest with you, I go on social media, I find out what their business is, I Google them, I go on Google Maps, I see what the location is. I go on their website, I do everything I can to try to get some data, some information on
Awesome.
these people.
Yeah.
So you've been on my radar for some time, and here is the deal with me: is like, I've got a good background in management. I think I'm a very strong manager. I think I'm a very good leader. I'm a good-hearted person. I care about the people that I bring in. I'm not looking to fill bodies. I'm really looking to develop them as well as I grow the business.
Awesome.
I am untethered. I have no wife. I have no children. I have no girlfriend. I had a dog for 14 years who passed away 2 months ago. So I am kind of unrestrained at the moment, and my focus and primary goal is just to grow this business. Okay.
Okay.
So you have been on my radar for some time as to one of those people that I felt that I wanted to reach out to, and so here we are with that. Okay.
Awesome.
What does success look like for me? Ideally, because I floated around with a few different business models, and I still am. Ideally, I would like to be able to open a different location in 6 to 12 months of time. Now,
Okay.
we can have a conversation about that because there's a few obstacles in the way, but that is my goal. And then from there, I would like to be able to take the business to at least 500,000 and see how that feels for me.
Okay.
Okay. I am currently offering private lessons and board and train. Board and trains are our bread and butter. So I'd say about 85% of what I do is board and train with a few scattered private lessons here and there.
Okay.
The logistics of where I'm at, 1,500 square feet sounds like a reasonable space, but it is configured in such a way that it's very restricting with me in order to kind of bring in additional. I think if I bring in an additional trainer, we're all going to be in each other's way.
Okay.
And classes are going to be a bit of a challenge because of not only the space but where we're at as well. But anyway, that's a different matter. So this is my situation right now, Tommy. In the past, I've had businesses where I have actively managed the business and I have been driving the business. So I have been scaling it. I have been managed. I have been advertising. I've been managing. I have been running the operations of the business. Been finding new locations. I've been negotiating leases. So that's what I've done. This is the first business that I've had where I am a practitioner in the business. So I am actually delivering the actual product. Okay, that's not been the case in the past.
Okay.
We had spas, we had skincare, technicians and massage and when it came to training these people, it was pretty much about customer service, upsells, getting referrals, greeting the clients, and this and so forth. It was not necessarily about how to do the job because these people are licensed, they knew what to do. Some of them were highly professional, like doctors, so it was just a different thing altogether.
Yeah.
This is a different thing for me. Okay. So this is my current situation. I really feel, to put it in like an analogy, I feel like I'm a ship. I'm on a ship at sea, and I'm pretty good and confident about driving the ship. And I know where I want to go. I know where it's going to look like when I get there. I just don't know how to get there. I feel
Okay.
like I'm in the dark, and I don't know what direction to head in. I don't know what's in front of me, and I think I need someone to show me, to be my lighthouse and show me the way. Okay.
Okay.
Um, So, I mean, I can go on because I'm reading your questions right now. I wrote them all down.
Awesome.
Okay. Um, so what could I solve as one major problem? I think if I had to say two things, number one is while I'm a good manager, it I have a good manager is only as good as the system that he works within, and I don't have a system.
Okay.
I don't. Here's the downside. I told you the good side is the downside. I am currently flying by the seat of my pants.
Okay.
I really am. Okay.
That means you're
I
doing pretty
think
damn good naturally because if you're on track to make 2K this year or 200K this year with no systems in place, which don't beat yourself up because most dog trainers when they first start off as a one-off dog trainer, they don't have systems. They don't think they need systems because it's just you and you're doing your thing and at that moment that is all you see is your thing, right? It's this big.
yeah, yeah,
As you start to expand, and you said it already, right? You brought in a couple trainers, you had to let a couple go, you have a new one now. That is when you start noticing the breakdown, is when we start bringing in more bodies or more people.
absolutely.
Because how do we reinforce our expectation? How do we reinforce what we're supposed to be doing? And it's not even necessarily reinforcing. How do we set the standard if there is no standard?
Yeah, and that was the kind of the point that I was about to make. You see, I think at this moment, 95% of the time I'm working in the business, 5% I'm working on the business, and I know that if I want to scale, that's not going to work.
Well, so
I've
it can
tried.
and it can't. There's multiple different ways you can go about it. So, and I'll kind of jump off track of the
Sure.
questions because I got a fairly good. You gave me quite a bit of information that I can kind of go off and just
Good.
right off the bat. There's a few questions that we need to figure out, and one of them would be, what does your picture of what you want to do within the company look like? Do you want to be actively training dogs? Do you want to be managing the company? Do you want to be working on the outside of the picture and kind of looking for contracts and teaching trainers and that kind of stuff? What is your passion within the dog training industry, and is that what you're looking to kind of follow? So for me, I started off just like you. I was a one-off dog trainer. I went through a dog school. I learned all the ins and outs of it. And then I worked for two franchises, jumped them from 0 dogs here in St. Louis all the way up to 20, 30 dogs a month. Both different franchises. I ran the same program the same way and blew up with them. COVID hit and I got the opportunity to go work at the headquarters for one of them. And they're like, look, you won't have to do any business stuff. You just got to train dogs. And I looked at my girlfriend at the time who had just moved in at my house, was still in boxes. And I go, hey, this is a good opportunity. We're in COVID. We can go to headquarters and make a shit ton of money and not have to do business stuff. And the great thing is you don't have to pack again because you're still packed. And she was like, well, if we're going to do it, let's go. So we spent a year there and it didn't come to fruition, all the promises and everything like that. And her and I had to sit down and she goes, well, you've already made businesses super successful for other people in St. Louis. Why don't we go back there where we have a network, we have a community, we have a support system? Because we didn't have any of that where we were at in Virginia, and start your own thing and make all the same things that you've done for everybody else here. So I was like, okay, cool. So we did it. That was 3.5 years ago. And again, I didn't have systems in place. I didn't have protocols in place. I didn't have SOPs. We went from 6 runs at a rescue to a 12,000 square foot training facility in 8 months, hired on 10 trainers, like all this stuff. And I had nothing in place to do anything. It was just like, okay, here's the goal, guys. Let's go. Right. And it kind of sounds very similar to what you're dealing with is you know where you want to go. You don't have the vehicle to get there yet.
Absolutely. Yes,
So
that's correct.
all this stuff is doable, right? We've been in this building now for 3.5 years, and I literally have spent the last 3.5 years really honing down our systems. Um, the other thing that part of going through with figuring out what your picture of this company looks like for you is being able to bring in people that you trust, that you can delegate the things that you're not willing to do, right? So I have a 10% rule. If I don't know more than 10% about something, I either hire somebody or I delegate it because it doesn't make sense for me to do it because I don't have the time to sit down and learn that system or that process to really bring it to the optimal ability of that system. Does that make sense?
It does. Yes,
So like my Google
absolutely.
ads, I don't touch Google ads. I hired
Yeah.
somebody out that's a genius with it, and because I don't want to learn, I don't want to have to continue to go back and look at them, see what's working, look at the metrics and all these different things because I don't have the
Hmm.
time and I have better things to do to spend my time on, right?
Hmm.
Time's money. And if I'm wasting my money
Hmm.
doing that with something I'm not even good at, we're just going to be squandering it. So that's something else that we need to look into is as far as your lead generation, what are you doing any kind of ads? Are you doing any kind of
Yeah,
Google,
I'm
Facebook?
with you with Kevin at Top Gun.
Okay, so I don't use Kevin. Kevin's just a buddy of
Oh, you
mine.
don't? Oh, I'm
Nope. So
sorry.
I used Kevin over 2 years ago. Um, I at that time I outgrew his system and he wasn't able to give me the system that I needed. So we left Kevin and Kevin and I are great friends. We have a great relationship. He
Yeah,
has improved everything that he's doing now tremendously over the last 2.5 years since I left him.
yeah,
He is definitely a trainer or a person that I recommend trainers to a lot because
yeah,
he does have his community that he built is fantastic for trainers where I chime in all the time and give my 2 cents.
yeah.
So,
No, no, that's fine.
um, but yeah, so having Google Ads, your lead generation, um, and then now what we need to do is we need to create systems from when that lead comes in. What are the next steps? We need to put that on paper and we need to orchestrate the process so that it can be replicable, right? I'm sure I enjoy sales. I don't have enough time in the day to do 8 to 10 sales calls in a day while managing a team, while
Yeah,
training my
yeah.
trainers, while doing these types of things, right? So
Exactly, exactly.
eventually you're going to want to hand that off to somebody. So we need to do it now and start building those systems in place so that when that person comes or that time comes to hire that salesperson or that administrative person that's going to handle it for you, it's already in place. They know what to do. It's plug and play. You do a little bit of teaching, a little bit of education on your particulars, and they're off to the races. We just did this 5 months ago. I hired my first in-house salesperson with no sales background. I was looking for a person that had the mentality, the personality. I didn't care about the sales background because I can teach that. And he's been with us for 5 months. And the last 2 or 3 months, he's been averaging between 75 and 80K a month, just himself alone in sales.
Wow.
And we're about to hire on a second one. So that if that's the kind of the long-term goal that you're looking for, where you can step back from that and hand it off to
Yes.
somebody else. Now, things you have to take in consideration with that, every time we do that, you're losing part of that income because you're having to pay somebody,
Yes.
right? So if the
Yes.
money's right and that money is your ROI from that investment of bringing on that salesperson is right, then it makes sense, right? If that person's costing you money, it doesn't make sense. And the
Right.
way that I look at all this, trainers are great, but trainers cost you money,
Yes, they do.
right?
Yes, they do.
Unless those trainers are actively out promoting, they're out there in the community bringing in referrals, bringing in clients, then you now have a trainer that's also a salesperson that is making you money as well. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
So if I could go back and do my whole system over again, I would have hired a salesperson first and I would have stayed training dogs because that person's going to make me money.
Okay.
Does that
Okay.
make sense?
No, yeah, it absolutely makes sense. Yeah.
Because a lot of the coaches out there tell you to replace yourself as a trainer first
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
then you do sales.
Yeah. No, it makes sense.
But the
Absolutely.
Yeah, but the problem with that model is that if you're the one that's doing sales, you get burnt out because you're still trying to coach your trainers, you're still trying to be a part of that while dealing with, 10, 15 leads a month plus the follow-ups and everything else, you burn out because you're still trying to wear both hats. So for me, if I could go back and do this all over again, I would have immediately hired a salesperson, trained them the way that I wanted them, and I would have stayed working dogs
And you
until I
did
could.
it the other way around, yeah?
Correct.
Okay.
That's the way that I
Okay.
would have done it. Now, that's not
Okay.
feasible for everybody because if you're not making, enough to pay that salesperson, there's no point in having that salesperson. But that doesn't
Sure.
sound like it's your problem. You're already at the almost to the 2K mark or 200K mark. You could very easily now again, I don't know your lifestyle or how much within your means you're living and things like that. But, if I could hire a salesperson at $15 an hour to start to train them, and that'd be their base pay, and then once they're bringing in money and I can trust them to do it, put them to a tiered commission scale where they're making their own money and they're bringing money in for us. That makes sense to me, right? I'm going to teach
Yeah.
you at a base scale at $15 an hour or whatever you want to, put that at. We did it at 15. And then within 3 months, you can start shifting from that base pay to the commission pay or whenever your commissions beat your base pay.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Okay.
So for me, that's the way that I would start because you need to get away from that time because that's a sinking hole. That's a black hole. Sales is a black hole. It's fun and I love sales and I still jump on sales calls here and there because I like it. I like making that first contact with the person, but it's not feasible or scalable if that is all you're doing,
Hmm.
right? So intake of leads and then we have our sales process, right? You can't really do too much with the lead intake because that is coming from an agency, right? All you can do is kind of help them tweak what you want your image and what your profile or what your ad looks like, right? But as far as those coming in, we don't really have a whole lot of control unless you're raising your budget or things like that. What we control is our sales process and then our onboarding. And those are the two processes that most trainers lack is what do we do step A through Z for sales? And then what are our steps for onboarding from A to Z so that we get the actual dog into the facility?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. Which is everything I'm lacking. I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
So what I will do is I'm going to put together a little worksheet for what I do. Um, and I'll send you over our SOPs, our handbooks. Like I'll give it to you, dude, and you can pick and piece and go through what we do. And if you want to
Yeah.
steal some of it, feel free. Have no
Greatly
problem with
appreciate it.
that. Um, and then what we can do is really tweak and figure out exactly your sales process.
Okay.
Um, our next call, what I really want to do is kind of do a mock call with you. When somebody calls in or you're doing a call out, what does that look like? How are you talking? What does it sound like? What are you pushing? Are you pushing? Are you doing a close? Like all those different things Because if we can solidify your sales process and your actual pitch, you will see an increase in sales every time.
Okay.
And that's the thing is most dog trainers, they get on the phone and they just, okay, hey, how can I help you? And they're not selling from an emotional standpoint, which is why most people are calling because they're emotionally distraught because their dog is doing something stupid,
Right.
right? So if we're not appealing to the emotion side and we're just pushing programs, I can help you, this is what I have, you're going to lose a lot of sales.
Yeah. Okay. I see what you mean.
Does that all make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. And I've done both, and I've been guilty of the other as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just pushing at times, and yeah. Okay.
Well,
I
and
know what you
especially
mean.
if you're feeling desperate, right? Oh man, I haven't had a
Yeah.
sale in 2 days or a week, you know. Fuck man, I got to get on this call with this dude and I got to sell this person. I got to get that
Hmm.
dog in here,
Hmm.
you know. And then I'm also not one for like sleazy sales. You know, a lot of dog trainers will artificially inflate their prices and say, "Hey, if you close today, if you sign up today, I'll knock $500 off that program."
Yeah.
I, to me, that's sleaze. That's used car salesman stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just it
Yeah.
doesn't compute with me. Um, so I was actually a recruiter for the Marine Corps for 3 years when I was in the Marine Corps, and I can sell ice to an Eskimo, right? And most of that comes from building relationships. It really doesn't have to do with the price. It really doesn't have to do with what you're offering. It comes through building a relationship, which is trust and then having the solution for what they want. And it sounds like you're already crushing it, dude. If you're at 200K with one trainer besides you, you're crushing it. Now we just got to start building the systems so that you can scale those. And the systems, and this is what I think a lot of people can get confused with too. Once you build the system, it's not in stone. You can tweak and adjust things
Yeah.
as they
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
But we need the initial outline so that we know where we're going. Because if I don't have that initial outline of what my expectations are, I can't go to, you know, Susie Q dog trainer and be like, hey man, why'd you do that? We don't train that way. We do this, you know? So I'll give a prime example. Last year, I had a trainer that was working for me, and we had this really, really stubborn, aggressive dog, and they were working on a down. The dog refused to go into a down. So what their idea was, and this is before I had an SOP for my dog trainers, was we're going to get a place cot, we're going to run a leash under the place cot, and we're going to stand on that leash and put the place cot between me and the dog. And they're going to apply upward pressure underneath the place cot to try to pull the dog down. So if the dog reacted, the dog is going to bite the place cot and not them. And I walked in and saw this, and this dog's flailing and gator rolling and you know, choking himself out and all this stuff. And I walk in, and I go, "What the fuck are you doing? Where have you ever seen that technique? And why are you doing that? What would have happened if this was a client that walked in? How would you have explained that? What would have been if I would have been the parent of that dog walking in? How would you have explained that? Because for me, that looks like dog abuse,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So now, like specifically in our SOP, like in big, bold, underlined letters, it says if you can't do it in public, it is not done in the shop. Because there's no point, right? If you're doing something that you have to do behind closed doors, it's not ethical and it's not safe,
Yeah. I know. I agree with you 100%.
right?
And I've addressed that a few times. Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
and that's, you know, I got tons of examples. You know, I've been doing this for about 10 years too. You know, I graduated from the dog school that I went to in 2016. Um, I've literally been building dog businesses before since then. And before that, I owned a firearms training and consulting business. So I've been doing businesses for a while now. This is
Good.
the last 10 years has really just been the dog stuff. And then now I also have this coaching business. I have a real estate business. We're about to stand up a dog training school. Um, we got all kinds of stuff that's going on. I have
You're
a
kicking ass.
nonprofit.
Fantastic.
What's that?
Good. I said you're kicking ass. That's great.
I don't sleep very
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. Well, I know exactly how it feels, man. I don't feel like I'm kicking ass. I feel lost. So
And I feel
yeah.
that, man. And I'll tell you, like, based off, well, so again, based off the initial number that you said, you're kicking ass. Now, if your margins are 1%, then yeah, you're not kicking ass, right? You're surviving. So let me ask a personal question. Are you living within your means or are you hurting?
No, I'm not hurting. I'm actually living below my means. I have a house, a smaller house, and I'm in a position to look for a second house, which is a larger space where I can house more dogs than I currently do.
Cool.
And I'm looking around, but no, I live below my means. I'm not a fancy guy. I'm not a party guy. It's just, again, just me, no dogs, no children, no girlfriend, nothing.
Awesome.
So
Perfect.
I do feel that my overhead is a little much for what I'm bringing in. I
Okay.
mean, I've got payroll, I've got, the facility and all that stuff, right? I got this van, which I just purchased a few months back. So yeah, I feel like I'm leaving a lot on the table, Tommy. I feel like there's the potential. I know my worth, so to speak. Like I know, like I'm a good trainer. I know that I can run a good business, but I feel like I'm leaving a lot on the table, and I'm not drawing that in.
Do you
Does
know
that
what
make
your
sense?
do you know what your close rate is?
I don't. I don't. I also started SOPs for an employee handbook and training guidelines. I haven't finished them. I'm half-assing them. I have a full Excel spreadsheet that I created, and a fancy one too, where I put in all my numbers. I get all percentage. I haven't updated that in about 2 months. I don't know where I'm at currently.
Yeah.
I calls. I can. I get leads, and if I can get to them immediately, I will. But that isn't always the case. There are times that I can't get to a call till late at night or the following morning. You
Do
know,
you are you using Kevin's Alfred system?
I am not.
Okay.
I am not.
So I would start there, get with Kevin and get plugged into his CRM. I think he calls it Alfred, or he did when I was with
He
him.
does. He
It's
does.
his go high level. Um, Within that, and I am not a go high level person. I pay somebody else to do that. Um, Kevin is very, very intelligent with that kind of stuff. He's fantastic. You need to build in automations. So essentially, once you get his CRM up and running, you need automations for when you cannot answer the phone. It
I
gives
do
you,
have that.
okay,
I do have something like that. Like it gets an automatic email once the call comes in and it isn't responded to immediately.
okay.
But that's it. That's the only automation. It is just one quick, I think, text message that goes out.
Okay. So yeah, so we need to get that up and running and figure out exactly what it is and what the trigger and timing is for it, right?
Hmm.
Because the reality, most people, if you don't have a reputation and people are calling around, they're just going down the Google listing,
Yeah, yeah,
right? Now,
yeah.
if you have a reputation, people are willing to wait because they know your reputation and they're not coming just because they need something, they're coming to you, right? What does your I didn't get a chance to go look at your social media. How active are you on Facebook and Instagram?
I'm active on Facebook and Instagram quite a bit. So I'm posting there maybe, well, I mean, quite a bit is relative. I'm probably posting there like 5 times a week,
Okay.
on both Facebook and Instagram. I mean, somebody would say, no, that's pathetic. You need to do more. I got about 12,000 followers on Instagram, 15,000, no, maybe 20, 28, 24,000 on Facebook. Um,
That's
I've
more than
got,
me.
yeah, Google. Well, it hasn't meant shit, Tommy. I mean, it's not like it's money in my pocket. So in Google, I've got about 88, 87 Google reviews. So I've built up to now. I've built it up on Google reviews and word of mouth. So
Yeah.
I've got a good reputation within the area, the
Good.
capital region, which is what we call it, right? I can do better. I can do
We can
better.
always do better. We can always do
Yeah.
better. But don't beat yourself over it, right? That's why we're here. That's why we're gonna crush this. So get plugged in with Kevin's Alfred, get with him and build it out, right? So get those
Mm-hmm.
automations in there for the missed calls, missed text messages. And I would do an email and a text back. I wouldn't just do a text. I would do an email and a text.
Okay, gotcha.
Um, and then once you have that set up, we can figure out some more things because that's going to play into your sales systems. Because now with Alfred, It'll have your contact list. It'll have where they're at in your pipeline. You'll be able to go back in and check on those people. You'll be able to set appointments, and it'll send out automatic reminders for appointments, whether it's a scheduled phone call, a scheduled eval, whatever. Do you do more phone sales or more in-person sales?
More phone sales.
Good. That's what you want. You don't want to waste your bunch of time chasing people down
Yeah,
for evals and driving all over the
yeah,
place and all that
yeah,
kind of stuff.
yeah, yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah.
So
Do you have any current SOPs, or did you write anything down for your new sales guy?
I actually just did that this weekend because I was building it out through the whole last 6 months with our learning curve with our new salesperson. I got to go back over it with my general manager. She comes from the sales background. She worked in like the warranty industry. She was a COO for like the warranty company in
The
the warranty.
general manager?
My
Yeah,
general manager is, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
So her and I are going to go over that this week, and once we solidify it and sign off on it, I will get you a copy of it for sure.
Fantastic.
Um,
Thank you.
because that'll really help with keeping you organized through your sales process. But you need
Fantastic.
that CRM for sure, and that CRM is going to come from Alfred. If you don't
Okay.
have that CRM, people are going to fall through the cracks, and that's where you're leaving a lot of money on the table.
Yeah, and they are falling through the cracks.
Yeah.
I'm well aware of
And
that.
if they're not coming back to you, you're going to forget about them and all that kind of stuff. And you can
Yeah,
only have so many
absolutely.
notebooks.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trust me, man. I was there. I did it. I ran it all
Yeah,
through my
yeah,
head,
yeah, yeah.
and I was like, oh man, I forgot to call this guy back like 3 weeks ago. I got to get a hold of him. And oh, sorry,
Mm-hmm.
man. I already went
Mm-hmm.
somewhere else, you know?
Yeah. I know
So
that all too well.
yeah. So we need to bolster your Google ad or not your Google ads, your reviews. And
Okay.
then do you have anything in your Google My Business profile?
Yes, I do.
Awesome. You
Yeah, quite a few things.
you need to keep that updated on a weekly, if not a bi-weekly basis, whether it's photos, whether it's blog posts, because Google is your number one driver because those people are actively looking for you, right? They're actively looking for a dog trainer. If you're not putting information into the Google My Business profile, you will start to slide down on the algorithms. The more
Okay.
current you stay on top of it, and it can literally just be a couple photos. You don't have to go
Yep.
crazy with it. Um, I put a blog post in there once a week or a little snippet update in there. Use ChatGPT and then just proofread it before you do it, right? Just to make sure that
Mm-hmm.
it's up to date and
Mm-hmm.
that it's not some
Mm-hmm.
bullshit being spewed. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that will really help you keep you to the top of the three magic numbers, the maps, the
Mm-hmm.
searches, and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, dude, I think that if we can get those things squared away, get your systems in place, you're going to see a huge uptick really quick.
Yeah, I think my two main focuses were going to be sales and the uh SOPs for employees, for trainers, like quality assurance, so to speak, if you know what I mean, right? Um, I think once I had those two, I'll have some breathing room.
Okay. So what I'll do, I'm going to put a note on my phone. Um, I'm going to send you to Armando handbooks, SOPs. And a lot of my SOPs, I just put into my handbook instead of printing out like two books or whatever. And then as new SOPs come up and things like that, I just put them in the back of the book as an amendment so people have it.
Okay.
And then every time I do a SOP change or any kind of change, I print it off. I make everybody sign a copy of it, and I keep it in my filing cabinet.
Oh yeah, that's smart. Yeah.
Because here's if when we're talking about employees, right? It's either a people issue or it's a training issue. So if something comes up, the first thing I ask is, where did you learn how to do that? And is that something I taught you? And if it's not, right, if they fail on something, did I teach you how to do this? And if not, cool. I immediately go create an SOP on it, shoot a video if I need to. That becomes a new SOP. Now it's enforceable.
That's good. Actually, that brings a point, if you don't mind me jumping in real quick. Like,
Yeah.
I don't in the future, like I don't need you to go through training stuff with me. Although if you want to, fine. But I am very much interested in how you are training and how you are conveying and training the trainers to follow your exact process and how you are tracking that, how you're gauging it.
So we have a whole KPIs for every position in the company. And within the KPIs, it basically tracks, their training sessions, how many lessons they're doing, um, how many go home lessons they're doing, all these different little metrics that they have to track throughout the week.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, we don't hire established trainers anymore. Everyone
yeah,
that works for me has gone through my internship program.
yeah. Okay. I saw
So,
that you had an internship program. Yeah,
yep, I got burned by established trainers too many times,
yeah.
and for what I paid them to get burned by somebody, it wasn't worth it. Um, so literally, like my three trainers right now have all been through my intern program, and they've all been with me for a year now, and they have run more leashes than people that have gone through a dog school. I mean, we run anywhere between 600 to 700 dogs a year through our board and train program.
No shit. That's quite a
So
bit.
yeah, and that's not including lessons, day trains, group lessons, all that stuff. So like these kids, I call them kids. I mean, they're in their 20s.
Yeah.
They run through a shitload of dogs. I have an 18-year-old girl who's now an established trainer for me. She's a certified trainer through me. She's been with us for about 9 months. I would put her against any dog trainer in the country. She is awesome. And it's literally because she's driven, she listens to everything I say, and she implements everything I tell her to do. So, but yeah, man, if I any of those kind of things, like whether it's training systems, whether it's business, like whatever I can give you or help you with, just let me know. And dude, I'll give you everything. I have no I'm not a gatekeeper. I'm not gonna hide anything from you. I'm gonna give you my all. So,
Well, I greatly appreciate that, Tommy. I don't have any intention of stealing anything of yours, but just sometimes glancing at it gives my it gets my imagination going, and I can start to move in that direction. So it gives me like a general. Again, it's like that lighthouse. I'm able to see the direction I'm moving in. So on that note, yeah, I would absolutely, definitely want to expand a little more on how you are working with these trainers, keeping them in line with your standards and all that stuff.
so it's all based on an SOP, right? So
Yeah.
at this point, I no longer hire people based on a resume. I hire people. I hire the individual. Does that make
You
sense?
hire on that. Yeah. You hire on attitude, right?
And
On
and
work
drive,
ethics, so to
right?
speak. Yeah.
Ethics,
Right.
100%,
Right.
right?
Right.
Because
Right.
I don't know about you, you've been doing this for 10 years. I'm pretty sure you're at this point where you can teach anybody to train their dog,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So if you can teach anybody to be a dog trainer, quote unquote, why would you have any different, why would you hire someone that already knows, quote unquote, how to train dogs, but they're not training your system?
Yeah. That's one mistake I have not made is hire an experienced trainer. I have all gone for somewhat green trainers.
Good, good. Keep it
Um,
that way.
yeah, it
And
hasn't always worked out, but it's those
and
different reasons though.
dude, for in the last 3 years, I fired 20 different trainers.
Shit.
It's cost me a lot of money. But
See, now I don't feel so bad.
no, don't. Because, dude, the turnover rate in dog training is huge. And part of it is ego based. Most dog trainers have this massive ego about them.
Yeah.
We don't deal with that. Like our culture here at this company, there's no drama. We don't deal with drama. If you cause drama, you're gone. Like we don't, it's all about the dog. So when I say we hire people based on them and not their resume, I'm 100% dead serious about that. If you come in here and you rub me the wrong way in an interview, you're not going to get hired. I will fire people just as quickly as I hire people. And I hire people on the dime. Like if somebody walks in, they show potential and they have a great attitude and their personality, sweet. You have a 90-day probation. If anything happens in 90-day probation that I don't like, you're gone. And it's nothing personal. You just don't fit the mold. I also hire people that have batteries included. If I have to walk in this door and I have to motivate you every day and tell you what you need to do, you don't belong here. We're in the big boy world. This is how we do things. We just go. You know the expectation because you know the SOP, you know that what's supposed to be happening every day on the day, and every dog has its own SOP based on where it's at in the program. You know, walking in the door exactly what that dog's supposed to be doing today. And if you're doing anything other than that, here's a write up. And we do write ups. We hand out write ups like candy if you're not doing the right thing.
That's
And it's not
fantastic.
personal, right?
Yeah, no,
And I,
I get it. I get it.
and I take
That's
accountability
fantastic,
for a
bro.
lot of it. I take accountability for a lot of it. If I haven't taught you, that's a me thing. That's not a you thing. Now, here's the catch. Because I know that I didn't teach you it now, we're going to have a class on it. We're going to create an SOP, and now you know. And now there's no more excuses for you doing it the wrong way.
Yeah, it's very professional. It's just something that you do ordinarily, that you have training sessions with them, you classes and things of that nature.
Yeah, so we have a whole SOP when it comes to um, the management takes a lot of the courses and like the team meetings and things like that. So we've pretty much broken the company up into management, which is GM, myself, head trainer, sales manager. And then we have the trainer side, which is run by the head trainer. We have the sales side, which is run by the sales manager, but it's also underneath the GM because she controls all the KPIs for all that and all that kind of stuff and sets the goals.
Okay.
Excuse me. And then we also have our kennel staff, where we have a kennel manager who is responsible for like the cleanliness of the kennel and all that kind of stuff. But we don't have a dedicated kennel staff. We have one kennel tech, a couple part-timers, but even the trainers get in there and clean. It's not just the kennel staff.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Everybody's
That's good.
responsibility. You'll catch me back there. If I walk in, I see dirty runs, I'm cleaning runs, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
across the
Yeah.
board.
Yeah.
And I fired trainers over that. I've seen them walk in, then they go, "Oh, that's not my job." Cool, pack your stuff, get out. If you can't pick up
Okay.
dog shit, then you don't belong here,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
And
So
you said, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, go ahead. I know where I'm at.
No, you said you had a head trainer. That's not you.
No, it's not.
Okay. Interesting. You're still doing training?
No,
You're not at all. You're
very
just
little.
driving the business.
I'm driving the
Okay.
business. I'm the bus driver.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
Now, that doesn't mean, right? If I'm on the training floor and I see my trainer struggling with something, or I see something that they're doing wrong, or I see something they could do easier, I'll walk up and I'll approach them. Hey, why are you doing it that way? I ask questions, right? I want them to think. Because the other part of the way that I learn is if you can't explain to me what you're doing, then you probably shouldn't be doing it.
Right.
So I'll ask questions. Why are you doing that? Or what is the goal with that? Have you tried this? Or what is the end goal for this? Or what are the steps that you're trying to accomplish with this? And then based off of that, we might have a little impromptu little class, right? Hey,
Yeah.
try this, try
Yeah.
this, try this.
Yeah.
So
I've done that.
I'm not I'm not actively taking dogs personally. Like I don't get a dog assigned to me unless it's a real man eater. I won't put my staff at risk. I would rather be at risk
Sure.
because they're running, 30 to 40 dogs at a time. If I take on a man eater, I'm not going to put them at risk because they need to run dogs.
Sure.
So I will take the really, really nasty ones until they're to a point where I can trust them with the dog.
Sure.
Um, but yeah, I really haven't touched a leash in the daily aspect in about 2 years.
And this is an enormous place that you have, right? You said how many square feet?
12,000.
What is that, a mall?
It's in a shopping center. Yeah, it's in an outlet mall.
That's an enormous place.
It
Your
was,
overhead must be crazy. And are the dogs housed there
yep.
overnight?
Yep. We can at this moment we can house 36 dogs.
Yeah.
So it's my training floor is about 5,000 square feet. I got a couple breakout areas that are a couple hundred square feet apiece. The only reason why we're even in here is this outlet mall was vacant for like 15 years and it was bought and they were looking to fill it and they were negotiating crazy freaking deals. And I negotiated a deal that I could not pass up. So that's why we're here.
So skipping around to something else, and you tell me like if you're on track with something else, tell me to shut up. But are you doing Google Ads and Facebook, and or what kind of marketing are you doing?
So we do paid ads through Facebook, Google, Yelp, and Instagram.
Really?
We're probably spending between 3 and 5 grand a month in advertising and just paid ads and as the ad budget.
Yeah. Okay. Dude, I am fascinated with what you created. Seriously. and I'm really impressed. I mean, I know a lot of dog trainers. I know a lot of dog trainers in my business. I know some big name YouTube star dog trainers. They don't have anything as systematized as yours.
None of
They
them do.
don't.
None of them do.
So
They don't think it matters.
yeah, well, I know it matters.
Yeah. Well,
See,
and so that's the benefit that you have going on is that you had another business prior to this. A lot of these dog trainers, they were either working some kind of job where they didn't have to do
yeah,
anything.
yeah,
You were
yeah,
actually a business owner, so you understand what it is to have systems and what you need to do to be
yeah,
successful if you want to scale.
yeah,
If you don't
yeah.
want
I
to scale, then
recognize
that's
that.
fine, right? But if you truly want to scale and do something with this company, and again, that what's your goal? Like, are you wanting multiple locations or are you just wanting to be comfortable? I think Wednesday, jumping on a call with Philip or Mountain from Off Leash Canine. He now owns Parabellum Canine. He's over in Southern Virginia. Dude was a he owns a dog training wizard or dog wizard franchise location. He used to work for Off Leash. He was a canine handler in the Marine Corps. The dude's done it all. And one of the topic that we're talking about is what do you truly want out of what you're doing, right? Do you want 10 locations? Do you just want to be humble and small and comfortable and provide the absolute top tier training for your clients? Are you wanting to provide a legacy for your family, generational wealth? Like what's the goal? Because if we don't know that, then where are we going? Right? We need the destination. And that destination might change, but we need something to target so that we know where we're pointing ourselves. And, in 6 months or maybe even a couple of calls after this, it might change. You might decide, fuck, man, I want 30 locations across the country and I'm going to use these systems to, implement that and scale. And then you might say, this is too much. I don't want to deal with all this. I just want to stay small, have a couple of trainers and just live comfortably.
Yeah, no, but I agree that you need to have a target.
Yeah. So, all
Cool.
right, let's wrap this call up because we're about to run out of time.
Yep,
Um, so right now I got down. I'm going to send you my handbooks, my SOPs.
yep.
I'm going to send you my sales process. Is there anything that you need from me this week to help you get started?
No, I got a shitload of questions, Tommy, but I won't kill you with these things right now. I think I will drop them on you as time goes by.
Dude,
Um,
put them into Messenger. Just send them off to me.
yeah,
Yep, just anything that you have, send it in Messenger. I might not get back to you right away, um,
no, don't sweat it.
but I'll definitely get
Um,
back to you.
yeah, number one is yeah, you're right, absolutely right. I agree. Sales process and working with trainers and getting them all on track. Those are my two main priorities. Those will be able to kind of help me create some guardrails and move in the right direction.
So I'm gonna also put down trainer handbook, intern.
Whatever you have, Tommy, whatever you have, I will read through it. I will study it, and I greatly appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man. Let's see, intern training roadmap. Cool.
You have my email. You're gonna shoot them through. Well, you can't send them through Messenger, can you?
You can send files through Messenger, but
Can
you can
you?
only do so much. I'll probably just email them all over to you. They'll be in a PDF
Yeah.
format. Um,
Uh,
cool. Let's schedule next week's call.
yeah. What works for you?
Let me get here. Do Mondays typically work for you?
I can make it work. I'm gonna. I'm actually using my phone here, so I'm gonna move this. See if I can. I can make it work. Um,
I got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday open. You tell me
what
what's the
times do
best
you
day for you.
start?
I'm usually in the shop by 9 Central Time.
Um, all right. Can we do 10 a.m. your time? It's gonna be 11 my time.
Yep, that works.
Monday. That's
Yep,
the 16th, right?
that is the 16th.
All right, Tommy. Thank you.
Yeah, dude. It was a pleasure. I will get that stuff over to you today or tomorrow. And then any
Yep.
questions, anything that pops up, drop into the messenger for me and we'll get you crushing, bro.
Wonderful. This is going to be great. Thank you. Yes, likewise. It was a pleasure
All
meeting
right,
you.
man. Have a great rest
I
of your
did
day,
the right
buddy.
thing. Take care. Bye bye.